Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is our February virtual hour event for the community. This event is live. It is Tuesday, February 28th at noon Eastern. And again, we're just so excited that you're here. My name is Reagan Murray Lara. If you haven't seen me before, I'm one of the U.S. ambassadors for Upwork, and I specifically focus on community building events and these initiatives. So I love what I get to do. I love being able to connect with all of you live. And just like Toch was saying, like from all over the world and sharing this space together, it's something that's so unique. And I love being here with you guys. So thank you for being here with me as well. Just a brief overview of what our virtual hour community series is. It's our monthly event and time for our community members to connect live with each other and with the community team. These events will be set up as live streams just like this one and hosted by the community team, which is myself and other community members all over the world. We will also be involving and engaging other community team members and amazing talent, just like our guest speaker today, Toch, who you're going to hear more from in a bit. So just a few housekeeping notes really quickly. There is a general chat tab, and that's what everybody's been kind of saying hi in over here. But I'm also going to go ahead and open our Q&A tab. So if you're going to have specific questions that you would like for Toch or myself to try and answer for you while we're going through today's presentation, please try to put this in the Q&A tab rather than the general tab. As you can see, there's a lot of just conversation in the general tab, so your questions might get lost. It's hard to, find them as easily. So if you guys just want to chat and connect, please feel free to put that in the general. But if you have a specific question, please try to put it in the Q&A tab. It'll just make it easier for Toch and I to go back and pull out your questions when it does come time to do some live questions. So then the last piece of our housekeeping today is just our format for today's event. We're going to be doing about a 20-minute discussion, but today we're going to be doing a presentation as well, so I'm really excited for that. Then we're going to have time for some live Q&A questions from the audience. So that's what I was just mentioning. Once we're done with Toch's presentation, we'll take some live questions. So if you have any questions that you would like to be answered, please put those in the Q&A tab for us to go back and find at that time. And lastly, the second half of the event will be networking in breakout sessions. So I'll give you guys a reminder again at that point. But this is really important. If you do plan to stay for the networking breakout sessions, you must make sure that you accept your invitation to join when I split everybody into breakout rooms. You must say yes, accept, or yes, join this room. If you either don't accept it or you accidentally click out of it for any reason, I'm not able to assign you to a room manually. Unfortunately, this event hosting platform just doesn't have that capability. So if you miss your chance to join the breakout room, unfortunately, I won't be able to add you back in. So again, I'll give you a reminder when that time comes, but please make sure you hit that accept button if you would like to join the networking sessions. Also, if you do not wish to join the networking sessions, that's totally fine as well. You don't have to, and that will be the end of the event for you. So we will revisit that a little bit in the second half of the event. So now, without further ado, I would like to kick it off to Toch to introduce himself, and we can get our presentation rolling.
So, hello, everybody. Like Reagan said, my name is Toch. I guess most of you have already read like the description of the event where, some of my info is there. But just a brief overview. Yeah, my name is Tochukwu Ibe-Ekeocha. I'm originally Nigerian. But most people call me Toch, so feel free. Currently, I work over at Microsoft on the Edge browser team. And I've had a decent history of freelancing. I started like back in 2017, and I was most active from 2017 to about, I say pretty much till about I started working over at Microsoft, which was like last year, 2020. And, in doing that, I've been able to gain a lot of interesting experience. And hopefully today I can try and share some of the most useful aspects of that with you all. And, again, thank you all for joining. I appreciate you deciding to spend an hour of your life with me here. So yeah, I guess without further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen and begin the presentation. So as you may already know, the title of this presentation is, Standout Freelancer. And it's just, I'm hoping to just offer a guide that people can use to stand out of the crowd because it can be hard. It's something that can be hard to do. So the first thing, why is it important to stand out, or why is this presentation going to be important for you? I guess in general, for one, it gives you tips that can allow you to have a lot of exposure. It's going to allow you to have an easily verifiable reputation, meaning that people can just see the work that you claim you're capable of doing easily. And also, it's a great way for building connections. If you're out on the web, if you're easy to get a hold of, you can meet a lot of people, interact with people from places all over the world, kind of like we're doing here now. And so it does that as well. So getting started, and I'm going to share with you 4 platforms that I highly encourage you to have a presence on. The first one being just, the general web, having a website, very important. And I'm sure most of you, this is not news or new information for most of you, but if, any of you haven't made this step yet, highly encourage you to go ahead. Incredibly important. Next one is LinkedIn. Again, it's literally the biggest networking platform for professionals. And so, it's great to have not just a presence, like a profile account, but also be active on there. And we're going to talk more about what that means later in this presentation. Next is YouTube. I imagine this one is going to be harder for most people, because even for me, it's been a while since I've uploaded a video to my own YouTube channel, although I do have a decent catalog on there. So I can kind of slack off a bit, but that's besides the point. But yeah, I know it might be challenging because it takes a lot to invest into it, getting the right recording equipment, editing, et cetera. But if you can put together those things, it's having a presence on YouTube is definitely going to be incredibly helpful for you. And last but not least is GitHub. So this one may not be incredibly relevant for all of you. It's mostly relevant for those who are programmers, but I think a good amount of you are programmers, and so hopefully for that section, for that subset of individuals, this would be useful.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out too quickly that, just kind of like Toch was mentioning, this is just a template or a guide for things that he has used. So not all of us are in the same exact space. So don't take this to be like that you have to do the same exact things. Try to, take it in and make it relevant for the work that you do. So if you're not, coding or anything like that, look at other websites that you could join, or maybe other like professional networking associations you could be a part of. And even if you're not able to post onto YouTube, I also always love suggesting, and also do myself, of just like constantly watching YouTube videos for different things that you're interested in. So different things, like whether it's related to your work, like, coding, and especially with a lot of the AI changes that have come out recently, there's just so much new information and new, I guess, like trends and things, if you will. So even if you're not the one putting the video out there, definitely check out what other people are putting out and see what you can find, and maybe some like good inspiration or ideas on how to like stand out or learn something new as well.
Right, absolutely. And so moving on to one aspect that, all of these, the 4 websites that I, 4 platforms that I talked about share, is profiles. And so just some tips for how you should organize your profile. I think the biggest thing here is just consistency. So as you can see, these are screenshot. Oops, let's go back. Do4. Okay, cool. These are just, brief screenshots of what my profiles on each of those platforms looks like. I think the most obvious thing here is that, one, it's all the same picture with my, interesting smile, and, the same name, for the most part, minus the YouTube. I use my nickname there. And so, yeah, you can look at this and easily verify, okay, that this is the same person, right? I don't think it's a must that all your pictures across all your different profiles need to be the exact same, but as long as like you're recognizable, you shouldn't, or it wouldn't be ideal for, one picture to look like you, and then another one you look completely different, and people are like, oh, is this the same person, et cetera, et cetera. So it's important to present consistency across the board. So next, we'll talk about LinkedIn posts. So what kind of LinkedIn posts are most relevant to make, or well, maybe the word is not most relevant, but I would say the kind of LinkedIn posts that I have found to be the most helpful in my experience. So the first one is like something learned, right? So with this kind of a post, you're sharing a little bit of something you recently learned. It could be technical, it could be, a soft skill, like a good way to communicate, et cetera, et cetera. And you're just, sharing that with people in your network, letting them know what's up, et cetera, et cetera. Another kind is probably the most common one that you see on LinkedIn, but it's most common for a reason, right? Because it's important. Is the new position / job type of post. So let's say you get a new job, whether it's like an actual W-2 contract, meaning like you're an employee, or if it's if you're doing independent contracting and it's like a new client or a new project that you're working on, you should also share that. Keep things brief. Just say, hey, like I think this one says, happy to share I'm starting a new position as X, Y, and Z, and just do that. Another one is thanks for an opportunity. Let's say, there's a specific contract or a specific job that you recently completed. And then you're just sharing thanks. And this is also a good opportunity. Like, let's say there are specific individuals who you interacted with while doing the job. It's a good opportunity to like point them out. Like, let's say, I don't know if it's a manager or it's a client or it's a coworker, somebody you collaborated with. This is a great opportunity to just, share some thanks. And what that also does is it adds extra social validation to the post, which, helps to make you stand out even more.
Yeah, I really like that particular suggestion a lot. I've actually never even thought of doing it, but it's so good to like thank your client, and you're also getting like your own name out there, and you're also like showcasing like, hey, I just did this work and this is the client that I worked with. So it's like instant, recognition and credibility. And like if potential other clients were to see that post, they could even like click to that manager's name and like go to their profile and say like, or talk to them if they wanted to, or just like, I think peace of mind of seeing like, okay, I saw that this person did work with this other person, like that they must be like reputable and they must be like doing some good work. So I really, really like that idea. I would say anytime you have the ability and like if you're connected with any of your clients on platforms like that, like shout them out because it makes them feel special. And then like you're also getting a lot of, good return out of it as well. So I really like that one a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just add one more thing with all these posts, especially if it involves like the project ones or the thanks for an opportunity ones, is just make sure you don't overshare, right? You don't want to share your client secrets or business secrets or whatever to the world. So you make sure you ask for permission on what you can or can't share, and if needed, if possible, you can ask them to quickly review the post, the contents before you like post it publicly. So
yeah, I really like that. And you can even then they know it's coming to like, hey, I really enjoyed working with you. I wanted to write a thank you post and shout you out. Like, are you okay with if I do that? Or are you okay with this like sample post here? So then they have like a lot of say and control over what it is that you're posting, and then also like they know that you're doing a nice thing and that you really appreciate them. So it's the small things like that that I think will really help you stand out as a freelancer as well. Like things that other people might not necessarily think to do. So.
Right. Okay. So the next kind of LinkedIn post is the project showcase. And this one, it's all about just, sharing bits and pieces of the project you've worked on. Like, as you can see, these are photos of like high fidelity. Well, not high fidelity. These are like literally photos of what the application looks like and how it functions. And so with this, you briefly describe without sharing too much, secret information, the kind of project you worked on, the purpose of it. And this is also another opportunity for you to shout out your client. And yeah, and it's great to use pictures. You could also do like videos or like showing how the app functions, and if it's something that's deployed on either the web or the Google Play Store or the iOS App Store, you can also leave links to where they are. And again, kind of like Reagan said, it's it allows people to be able to easily click and interact with the product that you've built, right? And see that, oh yeah, it is live. So it adds even more credibility to the work that you're capable of doing. So the next one is feedback showcase. I think this one is probably another one that doesn't surprise most of you. It's really easy, especially for us Upwork professionals, where I think they even like make it easy for you to like, there's like a button that says, hey, share to LinkedIn, and you can just share it and add a custom message, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, just whenever you get decent feedback from your clients, it's great to share so that other people, gives you more exposure. Other people can see that, hey, you're getting good reviews and you know what you're doing. Last but not least, one of maybe the hardest, but also the most interesting is community interactive. So, post something like a poll, or sometimes maybe it doesn't have to be an official poll. I've seen some posts on there where it's like, oh, a few options in like a picture, and then they tell you what emoji or, to use as a vote. I think that's also a pretty interesting way of doing it. But here, as you can see, it's just a poll. What am I even asking here? I'm asking, a simple question, because I think when I posted this, I was going through a programming course, probably to refresh my skills on like C++ or something, because that's what I use in my my full-time job. And I just thought, hey, I was going through the sections, like the beginner tutorial sections of like variables, the basics for programming, and I thought, hey, how do other people go through these sections? And usually I go like it says on at least 1.5x speed or whatever. So it could be something like that. You could be something that could just come to you. Maybe you're thinking, oh, do other people do this thing the way I do it, or what do other people, how do other people react to this thing? And then you just post a poll, and it helps you interact with everyone that you're connected to. So it's another great way to do that. And then going on to YouTube videos. So again, depending on, so for me personally, my YouTube channel is more so, it's casual, but it's also like casual professional. So I tend to mostly put things on there that just communicate my skills. So it's a great way to showcase your skills, for one. And it's also a great way for clients to get a good first impression of you. Like I know whenever I submit a proposal for a project, I always include a link to my YouTube channel. And sometimes, let's say if the project has something to do with a video that I've made. So for example, like if you can see, I make review videos on like different tech stuff. And if you see here, there's like a one that I did on Vonage Video API, right? So let's say a client has a project where they're trying to build some type of video calling platform, et cetera, et cetera. In my proposal, I can just say, hey, while you're reading everything else, check out this video I made about how to do this, right? And they can see it, and it's a great way. It'll do two things. It'll give them a first impression of my mannerisms, who I am, et cetera, et cetera. And it also is like, oh yeah, they're already, they can see that I've already worked with what they're looking for, right? And so try and find a way to use it. And again, like Reagan said, it doesn't necessarily have to be YouTube. There are other, it could even probably be a TikTok or something, depending on what it is that your skill set is. I'm sure you can find ways to create content on platforms like TikTok. I think even LinkedIn has its own. Well, LinkedIn definitely has a way of uploading videos. I've done that a few times. So yeah, whatever you have at your disposal, just use. It's highly recommended.
Yeah, I really like this suggestion as well, because just like Toch was saying, like it's gonna instantly boost your credibility with the client when they can see that you've already done like projects or posts or anything on your own prior to just the first time that you've reached out to them. So I've been seeing a lot of questions come through in the chat just about generally how to write a better proposal. And I think, really paying attention to any tips like this of little things that you can do to add to your proposal to make it stand out more. A lot of times it's not necessarily just literally writing a better proposal because, it's not just about how we write. It's about how we interact with our clients, on video or on phone call, or, the interests that we have outside of just doing this one job for them. So when your client can see that you have, a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of interests and activities that you do outside of just writing that one proposal for them, it's going to give them a lot of interest in what it is that you're interested in. Right? They'll be like, wow, this guy does so much. He's so interesting. Like, I should definitely talk to him and learn more about all of these things that he does, rather than if you just went to his profile and it might not be linked to any other profiles, or you might search him across the web and not really find any other information. It's not really going to affirm your thought of, hey, this guy knows what he's doing and I should talk with him or I should hire him. So I know that's a little bit broad for some of the questions about writing better proposals, but I think it's just shifting our mindset a little bit to not only focusing on the writing that we're doing, because a lot of times that can't convey enough, our interest or our skill level that we actually have. So definitely, seeing how you guys can tweak any of these things to make them work for yourself. Just like Toch said, it could be a LinkedIn post, it could be a TikTok that you made. It doesn't have to be specifically, YouTube videos that you've created, but just think of anything that you've done or that you've posted or that you can put out there that will, spark that interest in the client's mind and just get them to, understand you a little bit more on a personal level, but also on a business level. So I really like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And another good thing that this approach kind of does is that it lets you have content that you can post on some of the other platforms that you're also present on. Like, for example, whenever I would make a video on YouTube, I also posted on LinkedIn. And then because of the nature of my, we'll get into this a bit more, but because of the nature of my, the videos I make, I usually have a bunch of, I build mini projects as part of it. And so I would also take that and then upload that to my GitHub, adding more content there, right? So it's kind of like a positive feedback loop in a sense. Okay. And so, like I mentioned, GitHub repos. So again, for those this is not too relevant to, maybe perhaps you can think of any websites or platforms that are out there that are specifically designed to showcase your work. Like, let's say, I don't know, if you're a photographer, Instagram. Like, I know there's a friend of mine who's into photography, and he posts a lot of his content on Instagram, and he's doing really great with that. So yeah, think outside the box, do some research, and you can find something as a substitute for this. But for those who are programmers, GitHub is great. Like I was saying, try your best and look for small projects you can do, maybe projects that showcase your ability to work in a certain code base. If you can, if you look here, I'm trying to see if I can find one that's specific. Like, for example, Google Map, where it says Google Maps Sandbox app. So let's say I have a client that wants to build an application that involves a map. I can easily just share with them a link to this repo, and then they can look through it. And if you look at the description, it also says it's built with Ionic, Firebase, and Cordova, which I'm not too sure about Cordova, but the other two, Ionic and Firebase, are two massive, tech tools in the app development space. And so by them looking through this repo, they can see, okay, yeah, this person knows how to work with these tools that I'm looking for in my project or to build my product on top of. And, it looks like they're a good fit for it. So yeah, just, think of whatever little projects you can do. And also, let's say you do build an app for a client. Another thing you can do is you can try and make that app, the code there, as generic as possible, extract the most general aspects of it. Obviously don't include any API keys or any secrets or anything like that, right? And then you can post that on your GitHub, because that's also another way to showcase the things you've done. But of course, you need to make sure that the client is okay with you doing that. And I do think that a few of my GitHub repos are things that, projects that I've worked on for some clients. And yeah, I think with that, that brings us to the end. I'm not sure how I did on time.
You did great. You did great.
Yeah, hopefully it wasn't too long, too short, but yeah, I'll take that. So yeah, again, thank you everyone for, being here today, being a part of this, for listening. If any of you want to connect, you can search my name up on like LinkedIn or something.
Yeah, we saw all your LinkedIn profiles. It'll be easy to find his face, and you'll recognize it across platforms. So Thank you again, Toch, for this wonderful presentation, and thank you everybody for joining us. I just want to kind of like wrap this part up by saying that I feel like the key takeaways here are just adding as much information or maybe as much consistency as you can across your profiles, so that when clients do review your profile, they do, review your proposal that you've sent, that it's like immediate, that you stand out amongst, the other freelancers that they're reviewing. So I think just the fact that, Toch has so much additional work to be able to support his expertise, it like really stands out to people. So I think it makes it easy for them to want to hire him once they do, review his profile. So even if it's not all the same for you, if you're not a coder or anything like that, you can still come up with a lot of different ways to enhance your profile. So I know, again, a couple questions in the chat about how can you, build a stronger profile or write a better proposal. And you can really get creative with it. If you haven't had any projects yet, if you haven't been hired by a client, a few things I would suggest is you can come up with your own project, do your own work. So if I were like Toch and I were a coder and I haven't had any clients, book me on the platform yet, maybe I would build out an app, or I would build out a website, or a part of it rather, to, be able to showcase on my website as the work that I can do. You don't have to wait for a client to be the one to hire you to be able to showcase those skills. So you can really get creative that way. Kind of the same thing with the posts that he was talking about, creating some posts like on your LinkedIn, and on any of your other community forums that you're in, will just help, further embed you into the community and help you connect with more people. And I think that's really what's going to help you also stand out as a freelancer, just, being connected, being an expertise in your field, and having, some really strong examples of work and or clients that you've worked with. So I really think that it might take a little bit of reflecting for us all to think about how we can, apply this best to our own specific niche, but it definitely is something that can work for everybody and does work. I think it's just a fact of getting it out there and being confident in the work that we do, especially when we're starting. It can be, very overwhelming and you haven't had that first client yet or that first job. So just going back to the things that you can control, you can't control if your client's not going to respond to you. You can't control the amount of, invitations you're getting, but what you can control is what you're putting on your profile, what you're creating outside of just this platform to be able to create more consistency for yourself. And, other like projects or passion projects that you're interested in, whether that's like learning something new, watching new videos, or creating a new project yourself, like all of those things are within your control. So if you're new, if you're just starting out, I would focus on those side of things first. And then as the ball continues to roll down the hill, you'll be able to worry about some of the more external things. So yeah, I think this was really, really amazing and helpful. I'm going to find at least one question we can answer in here, Toch. I've been answering a few back via just reply, but I'm going to find one or two in here before we go to our breakout rooms, if there's anything else that you wanted to throw in there before we send everybody away to their breakouts, not away. Let's see. Okay, here's one question from Sylvia. She says, experts suggest not applying to long-term jobs for your first projects. However, most jobs in my industry are ongoing. What would you suggest? How about suggesting to a client for a month's paid trial and then based on results, prolong the contract? Do you have any thoughts or experience with different like short-term contracts turning into long-term contracts or vice versa?
Yeah. Honestly, I would say that's not too much of an issue. Like, let's say, a client wants something long-term, unless there's some other reason that makes you feel uncomfortable, just for the face value that, hey, this client wants a long-term project. That sounds more like a good thing than a bad thing to me. I would say though that the one thing I've I haven't personally experienced with, thankfully, but, you know, I've doing research I've heard of is like, you know, having, so there's a saying like, it's better to have a bunch of many smaller clients with like, you know, smaller scope projects than have a few massive clients that are like massive scope projects, mainly because, you know, we're human beings. Sometimes things don't work out the way they're supposed to. Sometimes contracts go sour, et cetera, et cetera. And if you're in the situation where you have just a few massive contracts that make up the bulk of, you know, the revenue that you make, then, you know, it makes it harder for you to, it makes it easier for you to fall into a situation where like you can be taken advantage of, because, you know, if the client knows that, you know, you need them, then, you know, they can like treat you however. Again, thankfully I haven't experienced this, but I do know it's something that does happen, right? So I would say if that's similar to like what you're worried about, then yeah, I would validate that worry, and I would like say, you know, just tread carefully as you're doing that. Try to have, try to have 10 clients, right? Each one makes up 10% of your revenue. And this is just an example, right? Versus having 2 clients that's each 50%. Because like if you lose one, then you're like, you know, you've lost 50% of your revenue there, right? That's more severe than with the 10 situation. If you lose one, that's just 10%, and you can quickly make that back.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, you know, if the concern is really just that like experts say not to apply for long term, like then that's not necessarily a reason to stay away from it. If it's something that you feel like would be a good fit for you, for your skills, and that you have like the time to commit to it, then, you know, there's no reason not to apply. Like there might still be the reason that is like a great fit for you. So I wouldn't let that discourage you. And I think if the client really does want somebody long term, then maybe that is what they're looking for, and they wouldn't be as open to someone doing, you know, a short trial and then hiring. So I think it's just knowing if you have the time and availability and, you know, expertise to be able to fill that need for the client, then I would say go ahead and apply. And just like Toch was saying, I mean, I think getting long-term clients is actually a good thing, because it can kind of be that base of support for you, you know, over a long period where you don't have to be continuously applying to jobs quite as much. So I think it's nice to have a mix of both. And it's really about what works for you and like where you're at in your freelancing journey. If you're comfortable taking on that project, then go ahead and apply regardless. Okay. One last thing I want to drop in the chat, because I saw a bunch of questions about it, was just broadly about, you know, writing a better proposal or increasing your profile visibility. So I'm dropping the link right here to our Upwork Academy. And this Upwork Academy is a relatively new feature of Upwork that we've rolled out in the past couple of months that does have recordings for all of our previous live events. And much of these are actually more learning focused rather than just our community events here. So you can check that out, and you can actually watch recorded learnings exactly walking you through how to write better proposals, how to strengthen your profile, all these kinds of things. So if you have questions like that, make sure you check out this Upwork Learning Academy and see what learning paths are available for you to check out, and hopefully answer some of those. Okay, let me see if we have time. I guess we're a little bit over on our time, so I'm going to go ahead and sort everybody into our breakout rooms. So this is our reminder, as I mentioned earlier, that if you would like to stay for the breakout rooms, please do. And if you would not like to stay, then that's totally fine. And this is the end of our community hour event for you guys. Thank you again for joining us if this is the end of your time. And please check back for more information about next month's March event.